Pittsburgh Steelers fans, welcome once again to the Steelers Hangover. My name is Bryan Anthony Davis. Alongside me is Shannon White and our good friend Tony Defeo. Gentlemen, how are you tonight? Let's start with Shannon. What is up in West Virginia, my friend?
It's been hot today. It's been up in the mid 80s and, so it's been warm, but we're having a good one. I'm looking forward to tonight.
And I don't know why my computer just did that. That was really weird. Tony, how are you?
I don't know. Am I good?
We're having some technical difficulties with Tony tonight.
I don't understand. I don't understand what's going on. Everything else is going to be fine. I'm sorry, guys.
That's no problem. We'll just see what we have here. I've got you frozen, Shannon. Do you have Tony frozen still?
Yeah, he's freezing some.
All right. So Tony, we'll have Tony work on his connection, and we will just welcome you to a Monday. How's it going, Tony?
Oh, it's fine. How's your Monday?
It's just like Shannon's. Mine is very hot. And we've got Tony frozen again, so I'm gonna drop Tony off and see if we can get that fixed. And if I could see him moving around again, we'll bring him back in. Internet's like that these days, so it looks like Tony's trying to get that fixed, and we will see what we can do with that. So Shannon, we had a very eventful week last week in Steeler Nation. So we have not had a chance to talk about that as well. So with everything going on, of course, I think the number one piece of news that came out of Steeler Nation last week was the fact that the NFL is approving alternate helmets in 2022. So I think that's the top news. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, I thought you was going to say DeCastro, but
something happened with DeCastro? Gosh,
yeah. But those helmets now, that's important too. So,
yeah, I want to talk about that real quick. Let's have a little fun, and we're going to definitely talk about the big news of the week. But they're doing alternate helmets, so we're going to see the cool white helmets of the Patriots again, possibly the old Seattle helmets. Maybe the Houston Oilers helmets are going to show up in Tennessee. Of course, the creamsicles. But I would love to see the Steelers not only bring back those gold helmets, but maybe throw in a white helmet with that white helmet that they've had as a concept before, with just the same look, but making it white. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I've seen some great concept helmets that I wish they would even try. I mean, I don't want to change our regular logo and our design because I think they got the best uniforms in the NFL, but I am prejudiced that way, I guess. But I would like to maybe see a white helmet, change it up a little bit.
I think that would be absolutely fantastic as well. But the most important news is David DeCastro, and that is something that we have talked about like crazy, and I would love to hear your comments on that, Shannon White. Not just David DeCastro, but talking about Trey Turner as well.
Well, last week I was talking about I was concerned that where there was smoke, there was fire, and with DeCastro, and I was just last year they was just he had a drop in enthusiasm. He just didn't seem to enjoy the game like he always had in the past. He's not a rah-rah guy, but he just didn't seem like he was enjoying it like he had in the before. And being injured will do that. And bone spurs is something that is incredibly painful. And there's really he played through it. He's a tough guy. I mean, we knew that, but I think that he, because of how much he was going to count against the cap, his salary, and the fact he wasn't going to be able to be himself, probably missing a good portion of the season. The Steelers had to do what they had to do. They were actually kind of lucky. Trey Turner was still out there, a guy with 5 Pro Bowls under his belt. And, I think that him having a bad season last year, he was traded. It might have been a shock to him in the middle of a pandemic, move across the country. We don't know how that affected his family, that situation. With the protocols, he didn't have time to bond with his teammates and with the Chargers. And so I think there was he also was injured, and a groin injury is devastating for lateral movement for a lineman. So I think there was a lot of extenuating circumstances. And the Steelers might have got a steal for $3 million a year.
What do you make of the fact, Shannon, that a lot of people are saying that Trey Turner was brought in as just a knee-jerk reaction? Now, I don't agree with that because, they had 6 days to vet him and they had some time. But for me, as we try to bring Tony back in here, but for me, I think they had plenty of time to find out what they really were going to do with David DeCastro. They had 6 days from the time that he came in with Trey Turner. I don't think this is a reaction. Do you?
Oh, no. I mean, I'm sure they've, had him in mind for a while. They've had their eye on him at least. And, at this point of the offseason, you're looking to get, maybe some real team-friendly contracts. Guys are starting to, they want to get into camp before at the beginning of training camp, not in the middle, and get some preseason under their belt, time to learn the playbook. So a lot of times this is the time of year you could snatch up a street free agent at a good deal. And I think they had their eye on him already. There was a report out today on Twitter that that he was being brought in to to put some heat under Kevin Dotson, that he wasn't in shape at minicamp. And I said, that was nonsense. I mean, I seen him and some different clips of him and him working out in the off season. And the guys just showed up in, I thought, phenomenal shape. And so I think that was just a rumor, some clickbait reporting. And because I think he's ready to go. And he said that was nonsense himself. He, said that wasn't true. I think that they had plenty of time to vet Turner, and it just worked out in their favor. They got lucky.
Absolutely. And let me go ahead and I brought up Wes's comment on that because Wes brought that up. Dave Shipley gives us $5 and he's bringing that up as well. Inside rumor has they brought in Trey to replace 69. I heard the coaches are ticked off at him and he got 3 weeks to figure it out. You know what? Remember right when the season ended and you had an inside source that said that TJ Watt wanted all his stuff shipped home to Wisconsin, and TJ's like, yeah, that's a bunch of crap. And now we're seeing Kevin Dotson saying, hey, this is who I'm training with. That's news to me, basically, because he has responded. I am not going to give the source of that story any run whatsoever, but that's just trying to create a story, if you ask me. Because I mean, look, we don't have to say who our sources are, but come on, to me that's going after a player. And you're right, we have seen clips on him. We have seen, I mean, he does look good. He has been amping up his workout routine, and that comes in. I kind of hardly doubt that because Trey Turner was brought in because of the David DeCastro situation. David DeCastro was on the sidelines, was not talking to reporters, was not available for reporters, was not involved in mandatory minicamp. It was great that he was there. And in fact, the fact that he was there, and I was on this show last week saying absolutely positively, there is nothing to this story. David DeCastro is going to be playing in 2021, and he is going to be counted on to be the anchor of that line. If you know anything about me, I'm going to be the first one to tell you that I was wrong. And I will not let you tell me that I was wrong. Why? Because I want to say it first. Man, I got it wrong. I mean, yeah. If somebody's stepping in something there, it was the BAD last week. I stepped in something because it just did not. It seemed like a lot of people were worried about nothing. It seemed like an overreaction. It seemed like the sky is falling, and sometimes the sky does fall. So I was absolutely wrong on that. I don't think there's anything to the Kevin Dotson rumor. And in fact, it offends me that it's like that used car salesman that knows he's selling you the lemon and is laughing the minute you get off the lot and it takes your money. And then when you go back to see him, oh, he's on vacation. He's in the back with a customer. He can't talk. We give used car salesmen a bad name. I know a lot of good ones.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of good ones on a lot of things, but man, that's that blogger there or that reporter there. You got to check your credentials when you're throwing some stuff out like that. With that being said, though, back to Trey Turner. Bob Yeager says Turner's a wild card. Turner could be anything from this year's Wisniewski. Oops, brought the wrong one up. Could be.
That was it.
I'm struggling. My brain hurts today. Could be anything from this year's Wisniewski, which was a disaster. It could be like Flozell Adams, who did a solid job for the Steelers in 2010. Mm-hmm. Bob, I love that you say that, and I agree with that. And here's the thing. You alluded to it, that you could get a bargain in June. But when you signed Dwayne Haskins back in early February, or was it January when they signed Dwayne Haskins, bringing in a guy like that, it's perfect. I love that signing because it's a minimum deal, mm-hmm. and it's not going to kill you if it doesn't work out. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you're going to throw stuff against the wall to see if it sticks. You're not betting the farm on Dwayne Haskins. Now, in a Trey Turner situation, it's a little more important, and you're not signing him for the minimum, but 1 year, $3 million. What that means is you've got an opportunity to see if he can work for you. They've got backup plans for their backup plans, and I can guarantee you they do. There's one assessment that they're, and we're going to try to bring Tony in here, who's been checking his connection. Tony, how are you?
I'm good. How on your end?
We're still struggling with you. Man, I
don't know. I don't know what to say.
It's a bad internet night in Crafton. I got to tell you. I don't think you're coming in. Are you there, Tony?
I can hear you guys perfectly fine.
Yeah, that's really weird. Shannon, are you hearing him come in a little?
Yeah, he sounds better, but he's still freezing every once in a while. But
okay, we'll see. We'll see if it works. If not, we'll give Tony the night off. But let's go ahead and try to give this. He didn't crack a smile there. I have him frozen on my end. But let's see how this works. So what I'm looking at here is you're giving him $3 million, which is, I mean, that's a good deal for a guy that does not have a job in June. Mm-hmm. That's a good deal for the Steelers that they're looking at this guy to come in to be a starter. If it doesn't work and they have got to go a backup plan for their backup plan, there's guys that you're hoping that Kendrick Green is going to work as a center. If that happens, you've got BJ Finney. And look, good or bad, whether you're excited about BJ Finney or not, he's much better center. He's a much better guard in his history with the Steelers than he has been a center. Tony, would you agree with that?
Absolutely. He was very valuable when he was here before 2020.
We're still having trouble with Tony's audio, so I guess what we'll do is, Tony, I'm just going to give you the night off because I'm not sure why it's not coming in. So I do apologize for that. Nobody appreciates the contributions of Tony more than I do. Let's see. Let me see if I can make some magic here. And Tony, how about now, Tony?
I hear you guys perfectly fine. The question is, can you hear me and see me? I guess not.
Okay,
I'm injured. You know what? I get hurt. I don't know. I'll take the rest of the night. I'll come back to the comment section.
All right. That works. Hit the hot tub, Tony. And you're a gamer, and you definitely tried, so I appreciate it. That is no problem. And I think we're gonna have Shannon's dog fill in for you. So, hey, my dog is here all the time. So if you see a behind the steel curtain BTSC radio, that is Tony, and he's still going to go ahead and contribute with the show in the live chat, which is absolutely awesome. So we will go ahead and bring him up, and we will ask him questions via that. So Tony, what we're going to say right now, Tony, is this. What are your thoughts on the whole Dotson situation? Do you think that's a bunch of hooey? And we also want to know your thoughts on bringing in Trey Turner to a sub for. Basically, is it pretty much risk reward to bring in Trey Turner for David DeCastro? And I really think in June, you've got nothing to lose because you were not going to have David DeCastro this year. And then you're going with those other plans. So if we can go ahead and if you get something great out of them, then it's awesome. If not, that's the problem. So Tony, we'll ask you to go ahead and type that in, and we'd love to see your reactions. So Shannon, I'm going to go ahead and wrap that up with saying, like, I don't think they can really go wrong because they saved some money in the DeCastro situation. Do you feel, though, that they are going to let that money? Do you feel that they're going to do a Jillian, which is my daughter? Do you feel they're gonna have that money that birthday money burn the hole in their pocket so much that they've got to go ahead and just spend it? Or do you feel that they're going to allocate it towards signing their own free agents like a TJ Watt, like a Minkah Fitzpatrick, to sign them to a new deal?
They may do the latter, and because they'd like to get TJ signed long-term, extended. I know that a lot of the fan base would feel more positive if they would use that money to bring in a couple more, team-friendly contracts. Say a Justin Houston at edge or Melvin Ingram. I know you want them to sign Hooker, and we know why. But I think that the biggest glaring need at the moment would be edge. They need some depth there because Roche, he can be a good situational pass rusher, but they need somebody with experience, I think. And Marsh, he might do better this year with some experience and a training camp under his belt with the Steelers. But last year, the little bit of playing time that he got, he wasn't impressive. So I would like to see him, if they could get a good deal, because they like to, a lot of times towards the end of camp, doing a long-term extension like they did with Hayward last year. I think it was last year. Might have been the year prior, but they like to do that right in camp there, and they might decide to do that with Watt and get that worked out.
Watt and Minkah are definitely possibilities. I would love to see them go ahead and just take the question mark away from both of those guys. But what I'm looking at here is I'm looking at the possibility that you've got a Justin Houston out there. You've got a Brian Poole. Those are possibilities. I really don't think the Hooker thing needs to happen as much as maybe one of those other guys. So that's what I'm looking at here. So here's Tony's comment to wrap up that spot. As long as Turner's healthy, I think he'll be an upgrade over what David DeCastro contributed last year and what he would have likely contributed this year based on the bone spurs. Yeah, I mean, somebody else, I think it was Wes. Was it Wes that said it? That, look, I mean, it's better than a guy that's not even here. Mm-hmm. It might have not been Wes that said it. I'm not sure who said it, but man, my brain is hurting tonight. My brain is kind of like Tony's internet today. But I got to bring up George Teston here. If they sign Hall and Oates, Bad would be happy. My gosh, that's all they need to do. You sign Daryl Hall and John Oates, and that'd be great. And before we go to break, I've got a trivia question for you. And Tony, I'll let you answer this question. How many hit singles did Hall and Oates have on record?
Is that for me or Tony?
That's for both of you. He'll type it in, and he says even my typing is slow tonight. So Tony's saying 27.
I really don't have no idea.
The answer is 0. Hall and Oates never had a hit record.
Maneater, none of them?
That does not count because those were credited to Daryl Hall and John Oates. We call them Hall and Oates all the time.
Oh, okay.
They have never recorded an album, recorded a single as Hall and Oates. All right. Mm-hmm. That is ticky-tacky, but that's where my brain is tonight. It's the off season, so that's no problem. Dave Shipley says when he has no super chat, Tony does not have to pay for his comments. In fact, what we'll do is Tony's calling me clickbait. I tell you what, we're going to go to break. We're going to try to bring Tony back one more time, and after that, we will get into some bubble guys and who we think are going to burst that bubble. Guys that the media and us as fans have discounted. That's what we're going to do. We'll do that when we come back right here on the Steelers Hangover with Shannon White, Tony Defeo, not in stereo, but on the live chat, and me, Bryan Anthony Davis. Stick around. Welcome back to the Steelers Retro Show. My name is Bryan Anthony Davis. Alongside me is Tony Defeo and Shannon White. Tony's having some internet problems. I got to tell you, I've had those problems. Looks like Tony's moving around a little bit better. Let's see how we're doing. What do you got there, Tony?
How fast is this coming up? How about that?
Hey, you know what? I think it's coming up a little bit better. All right. You just had 5 up there.
How about now?
You're not moving, but I can hear you. So
Peekaboo.
We love you, man. We absolutely love you. Now we're getting nothing.
I have a nice 5 o'clock shadow going on too. I have like a good Francisco Cervelli 5 o'clock shadow, and nobody gets to experience it tonight. Oh well.
The Francisco Cervelli. Okay, I heard that. See, you're definitely coming in a little bit here and there. So let's see what we can do. If not, we'll drop you back off again. But you're doing great in the live chat. You know I'm a big fan. You're a guy that you do play hurt. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That's
up here, definitely.
Yeah. So I get it. So let's go ahead and Shannon, I'm going to start with you. We're looking at guys on the bubble here, and I kind of hate the bubble because if I'm a player, I'm like, you're questioning whether I'm going to make the team. You're questioning what's beaten in my chest. So that's kind of what I'm looking at here, Shannon. So if you could pick one guy that you think is going to that we're discounting a little too much, and who you think is making this 53-man roster, who's number one for you?
Well, I'm a big Ulysses Gilbert III fan. And so anybody that knows me knows that I'm still holding out hope that he'll be able to stay healthy, because I do believe he's the perfect backup for Bush. And if if Bush has to come off the field, especially with this extended season and coming back from that knee injury, you could take UG3 out there and you ain't going to have a big drop off in speed. He's really good in coverage. But the one ability he doesn't have is availability. But I'm just hoping that this is the camp and the season he can stay healthy.
Tony, what are your thoughts on UG3?
I like his athleticism. I like the fact that they, I think Shannon mentioned this, that they drafted him to be the backup because he had similar traits to Devin Bush, and I hope he makes it, because I think we were excited about him 2 years ago coming out of college, but he really hasn't broken through yet. So he's somebody that I hope can stay healthy this year and take that step forward that he needs to take to be a solid quality backup.
Great. And you sounded good there, Tony. So, the guy that I'm looking at here in UG3, I'm thinking, how much depth is there? He's a guy that could possibly break through and play on that team. I mean, 2 years ago, everybody was discounting a guy like Robert Spillane. Even last year, when we were talking about the depth of the inside linebacker, nobody was talking about Robert Spillane. And guess what? He did well.
The one thing about him this year, as far as it's going to make it tougher, is obviously you have Vince Williams back, and obviously Spillane made a name for himself last year, and you have Marcus Allen. He's basically an inside linebacker now, and Miles Killebrew is somebody they signed. He's more of a special teams guy, but I think as far as his position, he's more. I guess he's more closer to an inside linebacker than a safety at this point. So that might make it difficult for him. That's the only thing I can think of that might make it difficult for him to make the team, because I think Marcus Allen has made some great strides over the last couple of years.
Give me your bubble buster, Tony.
You're not going to like this. I'm just trying to be a troll, but I think people are already discounting him, but I'm never going to discount him until he's back in Australia, and that's Jordan Berry.
Oh, gosh.
We can't get rid of the guy. We can't get rid of him.
You know what just happened? Somewhere, Jeff Hartman just had a sharp pain go right through his chest when you said that.
We all love that new punter, but I'm telling you, Jordan Berry, I'm not going to feel safe until he's in Australia. So.
Man, I tell you what, he's got 9 lives.
I'm telling people every year, they think he's going to be gone. Last year, I think, wasn't he almost? Didn't he have a worse preseason? Or no, he didn't have 2 years ago, I guess, because it looked like he should have been cut, and they kept him. So you never know.
Very interesting. So I am going to give you a guy that I actually think could be possibly on the bubble. You might completely disagree with me that he's not even on the bubble, but a guy that we've discounted greatly is a guy like Benny Snow Jr. And the reason I'm saying that is because there's a lot of excitement for Anthony McFarland Jr. There, you still have the Matt Canada, Jalen Samuels connection. Whether you like him, look, I know Wes already said, I don't like Jalen Samuels. He's definitely a guy I don't think is going to make the team. I get that, but you can't discount what they're doing in camp and what we don't see. They brought in Kalen Ballage too. Kalen. They brought in Ballage as well. So one of those guys on that list is going to not make the team. I think Anthony McFarland Jr. is safe on this team. I'm going to ask you that first, Shannon. Do you think Ant Mac, you think he's safe? Am I wrong?
No, I agree. He is a change of pace. I mean, he didn't have any running lanes last year. I mean, we really didn't get to see what he could do. And when there was a little bit of a sliver of a open lane, he got so excited he tripped over his own feet multiple times through the season because it's just he never could get into any kind of rhythm or groove. None of the running backs could because the line was so bad. I think that with the creativity and all the motion and everything and with a more physical, aggressive mindset, and offensive line play is a mindset. And I think that's what they're going to do this year. They should be some running lanes. Benny Snell has always been a power option, but now they got Harris. Balaj is very similar to Harris in both size and running style, and McFarland would be the change of pace. So, I mean, I'm not counting Snell out, but he's going to have to show that he can be that short yardage guy and be reliable. A training camp, it's going to be a real battle.
Tony, before we get to your assessment on Ant Mac, I got to bring this up because you were talking about Jordan Berry and there is a shiny new toy at punter. We do know that. I like to call him Elvis because the guy's name's Presley. He's a big dude. No one has jumped on my Elvis bandwagon for him. But Steelers freak, I got to bring this up. This is going to probably, if there's any German dairy farmers' wives on the show, I do apologize. But that new punter has legs like a German dairy farmer's wife. I have never met the wife of a German dairy farmer, but that is just.
I guess our only reference would be Presley Harvin.
Yeah. So wow, I got to tell you that. So Wes says this. Back to McFarland. Wes says this. I think McFarland is the only running back not named Harris that is a lock for the 53-man roster. First of all, are you agreeing with that, Tony? Because I am. I think he's a lock.
Yeah. And I think the main reason is because we didn't get to see a whole lot of him last year. Like Shannon said, what little you did get to see, it was behind a pretty awful offensive line, or he just was so excited he didn't know what to do with himself. So the fact that he played with Matt Canada or for Matt Canada at Maryland, I think that's going to benefit him, or it's a plus in his favor as far as sticking around. So I think he's safe because he's a 4th round pick. He didn't really get to do much last year. He'll get one more year. If guys like Jalen Samuels can stick around for more than a couple of years, and Anthony McFarland can stick around at least for one more year.
Mm-hmm.
Can Snell be the odd man out here? I think he's going to bust the bubble and stick around, but you might not have 2 out of those 3, Tony.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I think Samuels I think that the clock might be ticking for him, so I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't make it. Balaj, I really don't know a whole lot about him. I looked up his stats a while back. It didn't seem like anything that impressive, any different than what they already had, with the exception of Harris. So somebody's going to go, but I think obviously McFarland and Harris are locks. The others, I don't know. I mean, Snell might be able to stick around simply because he's got a lot of experience the last 2 years, and that might benefit him. But he's really doesn't have much of a chance to be anything but the number 2 guy, at least heading into 2021.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, live chat. We gave 3 bubble guys here that we think are going to bust it. Want you to bring them up now too. So just go ahead and throw out some names there, and we're going to go through in the last 6 minutes of the show. We're going to go through. Let's. Hey, I might have her name wrong, so I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to say Jennifer Pruser, and Jennifer's saying Trey Norwood. So pick 7A out of Oklahoma, Trey Norwood. He could. I mean, here's the thing: we don't know whether he's coming in as a corner or a safety. You definitely don't want to discount a defensive back, but there's some defensive backs out there like a James Pierre, like a Justin Lane. Of course, Cam Sutton, where you're thinking might have a job. They might be bringing somebody else in. So Trey Norwood is definitely a bubble guy, even as a draft pick. So, Tony, let me start with you. Trey Norwood, is he making that 53-man roster? Can he bust that bubble?
At this point, I don't think so. I think he might be a practice squad guy. I think his issues at Oklahoma were more. I guess he didn't have the athleticism to cover receivers. So maybe if he can spend a year on the practice squad and totally switch over to safety, and then come back next year.
Sorry, I'm reading the live chat. Badage says Tony is all of the buzz at the Beehive. So I don't know if you listened to the Steelers preview the other night, you're gonna know all of the live chat, what we're saying about the Beehive. It's a gentleman's club out on Route 22 that the show went crazy. But if you have the show took it was somber because of the David DeCastro news, because of Latrobe, and then we were starting to talk about Latrobe, and a gentleman's club named the Beehive came up, and that was the rest of the show. We were reading reviews. It was crazy. Shannon, if you haven't listened to it, you might want to check that out. Tony, did you get a chance to listen to that?
I sure did, and it was lived up to the billing. It was pretty funny. And I can see why people. I can see why it went off the rails. But I like that kind of stuff. So that was my kind of show.
All right. So live chat, bring some stuff up. I'm going to bring up Andrew Wilbar, but before I do that, man, I've got some family in the show and on the live chat. First time for my cousin Pamela. Pam coming from Texas in Dallas Cowboy country. So if anybody just dons the black and gold and lets everybody know it, it's my cousin Pam. So her dad, my late Uncle Chip, was one of my inspirations to be a huge Steelers fan. So it's so great to see her in the live chat. So awesome. Thanks, Pam. I want to bring up Andrew Wilbar here. I'm loving this. This is a guy that we don't talk about. Andrew Wilbar, who does great work with prospects on our website. And I tell you what, he knows the young guys, and he's a young guy that, man, I tell you what, he finds – I can't wait to – Andrew, I'm going to use the heck out of you come April and May next year when it's draft time. So your scouting reports are brilliant. So if you get a chance to check out Andrew Wilbar's work, go ahead. He's saying tight end Dax Raymond was at the combine when he worked out, and he impressed. Keep an eye on him. Josh Dobbs is my other guy. So those are some guys let's talk about both of these guys. Guys, Mr. Tony, Mr. Shannon, I'm thinking right now the Zach Gentry era is over.
Yeah.
Let's start with that. You just think when he was drafted as the Mr. Fifth and the Mr. Third and Fifth in the Antonio Brown deal, he was a project. This is year 3. Do you think they extend that project? Tony, I'll start with you.
No, I don't think so. I think, he had a bad break 2 years ago with the quarterback situation. He didn't really have much of an opportunity to shine. And of course, last year with Ebron and Vance McDonald, he wasn't going to get much of a chance either. So, I think with Freiermuth coming in and Ebron still here, he's not going to. His time is it's just about run out here as far as a career in Pittsburgh.
Mr. White.
Yeah, he's got such great length at 6'8". That's what was intriguing about him. But switching from, being a college quarterback when he first went to Michigan, it's hard for some guys to put on that kind of weight, that kind of muscle to move to tight end. And, his athleticism didn't jump off the screen. He was, basically it was his length. And he really hasn't been able to put on much weight. And his blocking has not improved. And that's something they're really going to be focused on this year, especially with a tight end 3. So, I think it's probably about over for him.
Eric Ebron, no question. Pat Freiermuth, come on, no question. Those guys, in fact, I think that's going to be a great two-headed monster at tight end. I'm really excited about it. I'm really excited about how much Eric Ebron is pumping up Pat Freiermuth. You could tell they're a team already. And here's something interesting. I don't know if you've checked this out. I don't believe Freiermuth is there. I don't believe he was invited, but Eric Ebron is a tight end university or was at tight end university over the weekend. I think that's awesome. Greg Olsen and I believe it was Travis Kelce who put this together. Am I correct in that?
I thought it was Kittle.
It was Kittle. I'm sorry. It was not Kelce. Kelce was there. It was Kittle, and it was George Kittle and Olsen put this together, and Olsen made a comment. And he's like, "Look, you're paying offensive tackles so much more, and we're blocking and we're catching, and the tight end position needs an upgrade." Needs to be recognized for what it does. And I tell you what, I think if you've got a great tight end, you saw what the Chiefs have done with a great tight end. You see how that completely changes an offense. George Kittle's another guy when he's healthy, man. He's fantasy gold. And but George Kittle helped lead that team to a championship. And his injury last year, not a championship, an NFC championship, but to the Super Bowl. But when he wasn't healthy last year, that team struggled greatly. Now, other guys were hurt on that team as well. They had a rash of injuries. But for Eric Ebron to be there, it's a meeting of the minds. They're working out. They're a fraternity at tight end. I love it. And I love the fact that Eric Ebron is not saying, "Man, why'd you draft the tight end? I'm here." He's putting his arm around him. He's putting tweets out saying this guy's going to be a beast. We are going to be, we're the best combination in the league. I love it. So that's great. So I just don't think there's room. I really don't think there's going to be room for Mr. Gentry, but he wasn't even one we brought up. It's Dax Raymond, and Dax Raymond seems like the kind of guy that can sneak into that three hole. Shannon.
Yeah, I think if I ain't mistaken, he was whoever the tight end 3 is going to be is going to have to really excel on special teams. And I think that when he got an opportunity last year, might have been the last game against Cleveland, regular season game, he really did well on special teams. And and then if he can be another blocker, like I said, and he is a lot better blocker than Gentry. He could solidify that tight end 3 position.
Tony.
Yeah, I don't know a whole lot about him, but I know Andrew and Shannon both know their stuff. So if they're impressed by him, then I'll take their word for it, and I'll throw my hat in the ring as being impressed by him. But I just have one more thing about the George Kittle. Does this mean that he's going to want to pull a Le'Veon Bell and be paid like a tight end and a tackle whenever his contract comes up? It sounds like that's where he's headed.
Well, Olsen was the one who said it.
Oh, Olsen, I'm sorry. Well, Olsen's washed up. He might have to convert to.
But Kittle sounds like that guy that would do it. I love Kittle, man. That's a guy that the Steelers really could have drafted in, I believe it was that 18 draft. That would have been a really good spot for him. Gosh, that's great. That is true. That's really true. I don't know if anybody wants to play that Le'Veon Bell card again. That did not work.
Hey, I'll tell you, he's talking about how much Ebron is welcomed Freiermuth in. And the reason why is he's like, "I'm so glad you're here. Now you go do the blocking and I'll do the catching. Just send me down the seams. I've been waiting on this. You take care of that blocking stuff. Right. They didn't pay me for that."
You know what? I love the fact. Go ahead, Tony.
Well, I mean, I think Ebron's like, I realized he had some drops last year, but I think he added a dimension to the tight end position that they haven't had. They almost had it with L'Garius Green, and they kind of had it with Vance McDonald, but they were both hurt by injuries, no pun intended. But Ebron last year was that weapon that they've been lacking. So if Freiermuth can free him up as a pass catcher, I think that'd be better for the offense.
They didn't use him down the seam. I mean, Ebron can get down the seam. That's his strength. And
Right.
they didn't use him because they wasn't throwing the ball down the field for various reasons, but a lot of it was the offensive line. But that's something that's going to have to be worked into the offense this year, play action included.
Matt Canada do you really think he's going to do a lot with Eric Ebron? I think he is. And I think that could be a part of his success. There's a bad taste for a couple games in December from Eric Ebron. Statistically, he had 7 drops I think he played 15 games last season. I really think that he was a good free agent signing, and I'm pretty excited for what Eric Ebron is going to be doing in this Canada offense. So it's going to be really interesting to see. The other half of that from Andrew Wilbar was Joshua Dobbs. Man, this is going to be a really interesting battle. You've got a veteran that Ben loves. And when I say that Ben loves, when you look at the sideline, who's Ben talking to?
Dobbs.
Ben brought up Joshua Dobbs when Mason Rudolph was drafted. Ben is tight with Joshua Dobbs. And Joshua Dobbs we know he's a rocket scientist. We get that. But he's an intelligent football player. Mm-hmm. And we've seen that. The very little that we've seen him play, you can see his intelligence. I mean, intelligence in a quarterback, really, it shows. And this is a guy that you have going up a young player like Dwayne Haskins, maligned in his first 2 years, that is known for athleticism. Ben Roethlisberger said it. He can throw a football through a car wash without it getting wet. That's awesome. But there were mental lapses. This is not to say that Dwayne Haskins is a dumb player. That's not to say that at all. But there were some mental lapses. Does that give Josh Dobbs a possible edge on that bubble against Dwayne Haskins? Tony, we'll start with you.
I mean, he's been in the system off and on since 2017. I mean, it's going to be a different system this year with a new coordinator, but it's not going to be totally different. And as you said, he's obviously extremely intelligent, and he's probably the best athlete in that quarterback room. He's and all their age is the RPO quarterback nowadays. Everybody has to be mobile and obviously also have a great arm. So he certainly has that too. His accuracy might be up to snuff quite yet, but I think he'll definitely have more than a fighter's chance of sticking around.
Sorry. All right. The Beehive comments have taken over the live chat. That's all I'm going to say about that. Man, I've created a monster there. But Tony, I'm agreeing with you on that. Shannon.
Well, I keep thinking of the one of the worst games I can ever remember, last year's loss in Cincinnati. And they had, I think it was Ryan Finley was the quarterback, and dude can't throw the ball, but he's got a little bit of mobility, and they used him to take advantage of the Steelers' over aggression and a lot of keepers and RPOs, and they scored enough and moved the ball enough to beat the Steelers. And I think that Dotson is that kind of – he can throw the ball better than Finley, I believe, but he has that potential to be used like that, especially in spot duty or, to relieve Ben if there's a minor injury or something of that nature. But the fact that Ben respects him, his eyes on the sidelines, he sees the field, and he knows how to communicate with Ben. No quarterback wants a guy backing him up that wants his job. They want a guy who's there ready to fill in, but they don't want a guy that's the crowd's always going to, anytime they throw an interception, they want the backup put in. And Dobbs isn't that guy. He knows his role, in other words. And that's one of the reasons why I think Ben respects him so much. And, Haskins has a lot to prove. I mean, I wrote an article about him, but he has proved nothing yet. I mean, he was, he's out there in shorts and slinging the ball around. And yeah, a lot of guys look good doing that, but can he do it in the pocket? Can he handle the pressure, show the maturity to handle the pressure of expectations? Because he's going to start getting them in the training camp, especially if he has some success in the preseason. But I wouldn't count out Dobbs yet. No, definitely not.
Tate Boys is somebody that I really respect, and I love this comment, and I cannot get this up here. Haskins won't last on the practice squad. He's absolutely correct. You're not going to be able – you will lose him if you put him on the practice squad. It's too easy to pluck him off of there. Dobbs, not so much. I really think at this point, Dobbs is somebody that there's more upside, and I just really love the athleticism and what you're going to get in the number 3 position. There's more upside. Shannon White said something about, can they win? And that's the thing. Can this guy win? Absolutely. He's shown some flashes of it in a bad franchise with Washington in this environment. I really think that the guy that's going to bust the bubble at quarterback is going to be Dwayne Haskins. So there you go. That's just my opinion. But if we harken back to the David DeCastro talk from last week, I could be wrong. So with that being said, there's one question that we had, and it was back there. So I can't remember who to attribute to it, but it wasn't a super chat. So I'm just going to go ahead and say this. Oh, it was Reginald Rivers. And Reginald asked, how many undrafted free agents make this team? Shakur Brown is somebody that Wes brought up. I really think Shakur Brown is a guy that is going to make this team at corner. I really like what he brings to it. I like the Gilbert kid, Mark Gilbert, I believe, from Duke and from the area. I think he is a good player. And you've got Lamont Wade, another defensive back out of Penn State. One of those guys is going to make this team. 2, possibly. 3, no. But what I'm thinking here is if you can take those 3 guys, who do you think out of those 3 of the undrafted free agents burst that bubble?
Well, I think the favorite has to be Shakur Brown. I mean, that was the guy that had the fantastic PFF grade as far as Big Ten corners, and he was supposed to be a mid-round pick, and he didn't even get drafted. So he would be my favorite to burst that bubble.
Shannon?
Yeah, I would have to agree. Gilbert is intriguing. That his lineage. Darrell Rivas and some of, he has the bloodlines. And before his injuries, the hip being, I think, the most serious one, he looked like a guy that would have definitely been drafted. So, but I think he might have better athleticism if he's fully healthy than Brown. But, I think that I would, at this point, just because he played last year and had an excellent season and hasn't had all the injuries that Gilbert's had, I would have to go with Brown too.
There you go. I like that. I really think Shakur Brown, number 1. Number 2, I think Lamont Wade has a shot at this team as well. I'd love to see Mark Gilbert. When healthy, man, I think that's, throw out the lineage. I agree with you on the lineage, but throw that out. This guy is a talent when he's healthy, but he's got a lot to prove. But you know what I say about the heart and the chest and pounding. And that's what makes all these bubble guys dangerous and a threat to make this team. So I would never count any of these guys out. Really, it's like you're in college or you're at that bar. It's 2 a.m. You look across the room and you've got all these studs and you're over there and you're here standing there in the corner playing darts. And then all of a sudden you get that opportunity to finally, after all the studs open their mouths and put their foot in it, you get a chance to talk to them. They get a chance to talk to you, and they find out that there's a lot more than mid-round grade. Let's just put it that way. So what I'm saying here is I would not count any of these guys out. And it's going to be really interesting. And this preseason that we're going to have coming up, the training camp is going to be one of the best in a long time. I'm excited to see what comes out. Because remember something that I said about the draft. I talked about this draft as going to be one of the best and deepest drafts. And the reason I thought it was going to be great and deep is because you had so many people sitting out because of COVID. And who had to play? Guys that were not expected to play got opportunities to play. And next thing you know, they are shining and they are getting drafted in the NFL because they had a chance to shine. All these guys need is a chance to shine. So that means that the free agent class, the undrafted free agents, could have been draftable if there was no COVID because their spots were taken by guys that had a chance to shine as well. And some of these guys didn't. They took the year off. So with that, you're really getting an opportunity to have so many people battling. That's why this is going to be a great training camp. So with that being said, I've got to thank Tony. I've got to thank Shannon White. Tony, man, comeback player of the day.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Second half was great.
Yeah.
I felt flustered. I didn't like my answers, but I didn't have great stuff tonight after I came back into the game. But I'm glad I finished. Glad I was able to come back in with you guys. It was fun.
Intestinal fortitude from Tony. Mm-hmm. Shannon White, as always. Thanks. Great job, man.
Oh, thank you.
All right.
Really good stuff.
Make sure that you check out Live Mike tomorrow morning, coming on at 5:00. Then tomorrow night, it's the Scobro Show, followed by Let's Ride on Wednesday. On Wednesday, also, you have the War Room with Matty Peverill. And then at night, they're going to be talking Big Elvis. They're going to be talking on the curtain call with my man Michael Beck and Jeffrey Benedict. They're going to be talking Presley Harvin with somebody from Georgia Tech. And then you're going to have the Stat Geek on Thursday going into the preview. And then some guy named Tony Julius Defeo is going to have a great show on Friday night as well. It's look at the gun show. Yeah. Wow, check that out. Man, that's intimidation. Yeah, I mean, gosh, when he's at the Beehive later on this week, he's going to be wearing...
Just trying to keep the live chat in check, that's all.
And then don't forget about Touchdown Under as well, coming up this weekend. Hey, man, it's just not your one-stop shop. It's your non-stop shop for everything Pittsburgh Steelers, not just this, but the editorial side as well. So check us out. Man, everybody in the live chat, we can't do this without you. You are our muses. You are what gives us a reason to come on, and we appreciate the way that you treat us. So thank you very much. And you better remember these three things. Be safe. Live chat, I need you to be safe. Number 2, be true to yourself. If you're not you and you're somebody else, we don't want you. You need to be you because that's what we love. And number 3, always be behind the steel curtain. And as the great Roddy Piper would always say, just when you think you got all the answers, Tony Defeo, Shannon White.
We keep changing
the questions.
There you go.
There we go. For Shannon and Tony, my name's Bad. We will see you next week, and we love ya.